Hello and welcome to Diana's Makerspace. This makerspace is going to be a little bit different from our previous ones because I'm going to talk about ADHD and especially my ADHD. Over the last year and a half, I've been through what I call through hell through apartment manager dearest. I won't mention her name, and because of that, of what I've been through, sometimes it drives my friends crazy because it has highly activated my ADHD to such a point that I had to call behavioral therapist from my insurance company. Had talked with my doctor. I've been to three special doctors evaluations, and I've been asking for a therapist, asking for medication. Normally, when I was in school, my parents fought medication because people with ADHD dumbs them down, makes them very susceptible, being manipulated by aggressive and mean people. And when I did take medication in the past, I was aggressive and manipulated by mean people who stole two software packages from me. One medical image diagnostics and one a computer security program, which is used by a major corporation today. Although I'm not getting paid anything from it, but the ones who stole it did because they claim they use something called a white glove technique or something else. Um, but the point is, regarding ADHD, I live in an area where basically, um, when we moved from Wauwatosa, and we were offered to live in Racine and Wind Point as my dad was an executive at Walker, and we refused that because due to me having ADHD and my family being very creative, we knew that from based on the tough, as my mother would call the tough kids from Racine and Kenosha, and even now the tough kids from the east side of Milwaukee, who came down here last year and hired people, the tough kids from Racine to do the dirty work, like what happened with this one apartment manager. And many people moved out of the building I'm in. The thing is, that's why I was raised in Kenosha, because basically Kenosha had more sympathy for people who have special needs. Like my dad had polio, they had a special school for people who had polio. And also for I have ADHD, and I had special teachers who understood that and didn't coddle me, but didn't make me feel like I was a special ed retard or reject. But in Racine, they do. The tough kids. And a friend of mine, she was highly intelligent. She lived in Manhattan and Englewood, New Jersey. When she came back, they tried to put her in a class for retards because they didn't know how to teach highly gifted children. And She's an artist. We live in separate apartments because we both need bigger apartments than both of us could afford together. So we have to live in separate apartments. Like to get some extra money trying to sell my software, but I can't afford to lose my health benefits. But regarding ADHD, I was watching something on there about something regarding ADHD, which is from Rur Ohama, and and the thing is about eating the fog. That's something like my dad would and my parents would try to do, breaking the small steps. But the reason why I mentioned about this thing about eating the fog, like in my apartment last year with this bad manager, I had 14 inspections. And each time I asked myself, please try to come early in the morning. Reason why is because I wanted to eat the fog. But what would they do? They would come at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Mine was the last of the day. And that aggravated my ADHD. And even now, basically, like last night, I had a migraine. I had to take migraine pills. And I've been having, and even though this person has left, it's been a month and a half, still having, that's why I've been having special doctor's appointments. I have another one in 3 months. Um, as a point of thing to remember, I like to mention though for Microsoft. Microsoft is opening up a data center in Racine, actually Mount Pleasant, but actually is suburban Racine. But the problem is, when you do have your people come here, I noticed on YouTube there are a few people working Microsoft that are in a I'm not sure what the new words, but I'm gonna say autism spectrum as I am. That have ADHD. Um, when you do have your people come in from outside the area and the kids, please protect them from the tough kids from Racine, because basically they are cruel, they are mean, and what happens? Don't trust social service. If you have to set up your own hospital, set up your own school system, because that's what Kenosha had to do when they set up Indian Trails when Whitecaps was formed to prevent the tough kids from Kenosha. And even years ago, when I did live in Kenosha at the Common Council, I had to make a comment, and finally, one alderman who was of an older generation, he stood up and at point says, "God," he said, "you know how long we've been trying to live down that reputation being the tough kids from Racine in Kenosha?" And it says, Diana has to bring and says, "Who's been doing this to her?" And he took steps to take care of it, but it wasn't until he spoke in Common Council that they finally would acknowledge it. And in Racine, they still don't want to acknowledge that still have the tough kids from Racine, and also they work with the tough kids from the east side of Milwaukee who come down and pay them. They give them extra money so they can buy expensive trucks and everything to pay for the dirty work like that, and harassing people who are just trying to live their lives in retirement, and to be creative. So um, those of us who have ADHD, we're not asking to be coddled. We're not asking to be special things, but we are asking that basically um, the tough kids from Racine and Kenosha, you stay in your neighborhood. We don't come in your neighborhood. You don't come in ours. You don't come in our apartments and harass us. And and they think, well, okay, well, we're not doing it now. Well, there's still side effects. I'm still having to see doctor's appointments, asked to see a therapist, asked to get medication now. The next step is I'm going to contact an attorney to see about pain and suffering. But to Microsoft, when you do come to Racine Kenosha, just a word of advice for people who work for you and the children. Please make sure those people who have ADHD or on a special spectrum that you protect them, provide a protective bubble. Do not send them to certain public schools. So we've seen set up your own private school, set up your own private hospital, because the Racine that my parents and I used to know, which used to be the old Danish Racine of the loom and other stuff, no longer exists. The tough kids and the cowboys have made a resurgence, and so for Microsoft, please protect your people, because if you don't, um, basically you're going to find a lot of people having to do like I do, have special doctor's appointment because the ADHD has been re-triggered along with their migraines and their anxiety. Well, let me know what you think. The best way to reach me, as I said before, is on different social media. And finally, I just wanted to say for for those of us with ADHD, I found the best thing in addition to eating the frog and breaking the small steps is for people who are work with ADHD. We're not motivated by money. We're not motivated by consequences. That's how you scare us off. Best thing is captivate us, create us, um, uh, allow us to compete, allow us to think of a competition, and also allow us to complete things. Don't put us on a time clock. Well, you have to get this much done by this time, this much at this time. It's like my dad says. As long as you get it done by the time period, and if you don't put us on a clock, we get it done beforehand. And that's what when I did work on the West Coast, I did work with people who did understand my ADHD, even the big brothers and sisters in the Air Force who I worked with, which I'm always grateful for, and how they helped me in many things, including in life. And that's why I always have a heart for my big brothers and sisters in the Air Force, even though I was a military contractor. But to Microsoft, please be careful when you come to Racine. Make sure you protect your people who are on the special spectrum and have ADHD, because the tough kids from Racine and tough kids from Milwaukee, east side of Milwaukee, are trying to take over Racine, and protect them, protect them, protect them. Set up special schools, set up special hospitals, and set up a special community. Well, let me know what you think. And this has been a special Diana's Makerspace.